Hello, welcome to this podcast. Today I'm with Ryan
Thank you very much.
Platts. He is the founder of the page Limitless Belief. So Limitless Belief is a page that describes itself as an interactive community that ensures development and progression to strive for your full potential. So Ryan, how's it going?
Very well. Thank you for having me.
All good? No, no problem. Really wanted to have you on because your page is very interesting. It teaches people how to progress, and one thing you talk about a lot is why you should challenge yourself. And you're not just the guy that talks. It's easy to talk. You
Yeah.
actually do these challenges. And if you follow Ryan on his Instagram page, Limitless Belief, you'll see the crazy challenges he does. So I got a list of a few of them you have done. So
Okay.
this one is one I've always wanted to do, but I've always fucking struggled with loads, which is the 5 a.m. runs.
Yeah, that was a very tough one, to be fair. Very tough. So the reason I'll tell you how it happened. I was actually stretching the night before, and I was with my girlfriend, and I was actually thinking about it's something I always wanted to do. So running at 5 a.m. You see like successful people talk about it. Let's say you hear about it all the time, but I was like, I'd like to do this sometime. And then I just had like this thought, and it was, if I really want to do it, all I have to do is tomorrow set the alarm for 5 a.m. and just go. And as simple as that sounds, it steps away from this procrastination kind of mindset that I had for a while, and just decided to just do it. And so the first one I did wasn't part of the challenge, but it was the next day after that. And honestly, it was very tough, but it felt amazing.
Yeah.
It felt really good.
But how do you feel, when you challenge yourself, it kind of progresses you as a person, it builds you up as a person, and it builds that kind of
100%.
mental toughness. How do you feel like
100%.
these pushing yourself? Because it's very easy to say, look, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow, and then you do absolutely nothing because the alarm clock, that
Yeah,
bed's seeming a
I've done
little
that
bit
loads
too
of
good.
times. I've
So,
done that loads of times. What helps me at least is having a goal. So, for example, the challenge that I gave myself for the 5 a.m. runs was to do it consecutively without any breaks, even the weekends. So I'd do it before work as well during the weekdays, and it'd be doing it for the 30 days. And I did not, and I was doing it with a friend of mine actually, so that was helping with the whole thing. Um, but yeah, I just couldn't. I didn't want to give up on this one, and I just had to do it. I didn't feel like doing it most days, but I still did it.
so what would be your advice for the people that they do set that alarm, but then it gets to the time and they're like, I just can't be asked, and that'll happen a lot. How did you get past that?
Well, like I said, what helped actually is because I was doing it with a friend of mine. His name's Mamoon. He's got a good page as well on Instagram called Fitness by Mamoon, all one word.
Yeah.
And he's also the one that actually encouraged me to start my own page and to put myself out there a bit. And I think having someone on it with you will help, but also telling others that you're doing it will hold you accountable. So you have the added pressure that if you stop doing it, people that you've told will start questioning if you're still doing it. And that definitely helps a bit.
Exactly. But to be fair, like out of the challenges you have done, the 5 a.m. runs probably aren't nothing. You did a challenge where you ran, what is it, 4K every 4 hours for 48 hours.
Yeah, so it's David Goggins. He was an ex-Navy SEAL and he's an ultra marathoner. I read his book as well. That's what got me into it. So yeah, it's 4 miles every
Hurt
four
book.
hours. Yeah, yeah, Can't Hurt Me, that
Okay,
one.
great
And
book.
I had the audiobook version, which was really good. So he's speaking during the whole book and honestly very inspiring. He talks about his past. He had a very tough past, and he mentioned how that past actually he uses as fuel to do what he's doing today. And I like that mindset because a lot of people will have a victim mindset. So they'll say, I'm not doing certain things because of my past. And he's saying, no, well, I'm going to use that as fuel. It's an advantage to him. And
No,
that was one of the toughest ones I've done for sure.
no, yeah, David Goggins, he talks a lot of real stuff. He's basically says that your mind gives up before your body. And I think with your challenges, you've
Yes.
kind of felt that already. You already know the difference
Yeah.
between the
So
mind, motivation, and actually doing it.
for sure, for sure. And the last one I did during that challenge, actually, there was a part in that run where it felt like I could run on forever. Like
Runners
it
high.
was the farthest side, exactly, runners high, and it was the furthest that I've ever run when my legs were there were. So my knees were in pain, my feet were shattered, and honestly, it just shows that. it's definitely like what you just said, that your mind just gives up before your body can, and it's important to know. He even talks about, he says there's the 40% rule, and it's that when your mind tells you you're done, you're just 40% of your capacity, and that's a good way to look at it as well, I think.
Has there ever been a point in any of these challenges where you thought you were very close to giving up, but then you did
That
experience
one,
that one exactly?
and the one just after, when I did my first half marathon, that was very tough.
So do you have any plans, any challenges coming up that people can follow?
So yeah, the 4x4x48 that I did back in March is something that happens every year.
Yeah,
So next March, I'm planning on doing that again. I actually did it with my friend as well, Mamoon. So we did
yeah.
that together, and it was easier to encourage each other. But I'm planning on doing that again. As far as other challenges though, besides that, I still haven't given myself any. Right now, I'm just trying to stay consistent with my workouts,
Yeah.
trying to stay disciplined as well. And yeah, I'll probably give myself some more challenges to stay motivated as well.
That's actually an interesting thing I actually kind of wanted to bring up with you as well because I've been through phases as well where I'm trying to, you know, work out or whatever, and I just completely lost the motivation for it. And then eventually you learn
Yeah.
that discipline completely beats motivation.
100%. 100%. That's probably the biggest change that's happened, at least for me, and that I'd like to get across to other people. This is why I have my page, by the way. It's not just to talk about myself and just big myself up, let's say. It's really because I feel like I know where I was a few years ago, and I know where I am now, and I want others to have the same transformation, let's say. And it's a transformation that I feel like I want to last forever. I'm loving the journey. I don't want to tell myself that I've reached any stage yet. But like you just said, honestly, it's when you rely on your motivation, some days you're feeling yourself, you want to work out, for example, and other days you're just tired, exhausted. And if you rely on your motivation, then you'll probably work out once every now and then, and you won't be consistent. But if you have discipline, then it's something that you're going to do regardless of how you feel. So if you have a program, let's say you work five days a week, you're going to do it regardless of how you feel, and it's a lot more consistent. It's a lot more reliable because if you have the goal, let's say in a month, you're definitely going to hit it because you've been disciplined with it.
Yeah, exactly. It is a very big thing. You need to be disciplined if you want to achieve your goals because motivation, I've experienced it. It doesn't
Comes
last
and
forever.
goes.
It
Yeah,
goes. Life
yeah,
happens, shit happens, and sometimes
exactly.
other things go away. But if you want a goal and you need to achieve a goal, then you need
Yeah,
to stay disciplined, and that's something you've done
100%.
since I've known you. To be honest, you've always remained disciplined. You always knew what you wanted, so
Yeah.
it's been good. Another thing that I wanted to bring up with you is you currently are kind of a little bit of an expert on sales. Well, not an expert. You are
I
learning it,
wouldn't say that.
sales,
Yeah.
and it's quite a skill that's really good because it fully allows you to
Mm,
understand people and the psychology of people. Is there
100%.
anything you want to share? You know,
Yeah, so what I'm working in a startup right now in sales, and honestly, I'm really enjoying it. The side that I like the most is working with people. So there's a whole psychology to sales, and I'm not an expert yet, but I definitely am aiming for that. And what I'm loving about it is the communication side of things, because we all have ideas, we all have things that we might want to share, and if you don't have the right tools to communicate the idea and to get your idea into the other person's head, for example, then that person will never understand where you're coming from and what message you're trying to transmit. And it's that aspect of sales that I really love. It's for example, with my page, I can use them both, because if I have a message and I want to share it with people, then I need to learn how to communicate it, and I still have a lot to learn. It's something that takes I think it's a lifelong challenge, to be fair.
of course, yeah, you can always consistently grow. But what are some of the main things you've learned generally about people when it comes to trying to make a sale to them or pitch something to them? What are the main aspects of the human psychology that they view when
Yeah.
receiving this information?
Well, like I said, there's so much I need to learn, but just a few things I'd say. For example, I'm trying to sell a product. If you're not enthusiastic about your own product and it doesn't come across, then you can't expect anyone else to be enthusiastic about it,
Yeah,
especially that they don't know the benefits yet. So you're trying to bring that across. And if you're not enthusiastic, then why would they ever be as well? So
uh,
that's a big side. Um, you have to understand what the person wants. So a lot of people that I've seen come to the job where I'm at, they might try and speak too much, and a lot of times you need to learn to listen. I need to find out what the person really wants. I need to meet those needs.
Yeah,
Those are just two little things.
there's actually, I know you're an avid book reader, and there was a book I read recently called How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm not sure if you've
Great
read that
book,
one.
yeah.
Yeah,
I've started yet, but I'd like to finish it for sure.
it kind of talks about, to win a human heart, kind of. You need to not talk about yourself too much, not, constantly brag and stuff. You need to mostly, be empathetic towards them and
For
understand
sure,
them, put them in your
for sure.
shoes and you know their side. So I'm assuming that's kind of a big part of sales, you need to put yourself in their shoes,
Yeah,
see how they're feeling and then somehow find a way that will benefit them.
yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of my job actually encompasses prospection. So it's like those calls that you probably get, an unknown number, and some of them you get, and they're just very monotone, no enthusiasm, and you can tell they're not even listening to you. You're saying, "Oh, well, I'm not interested," for example. I'm
Yeah.
busy, and they still keep going on and on and on. And it's that side, and they're just trying, and you can tell that they're just trying to gain something from themselves, and they're not showing the side of, "I'm here to help you. I've got something that will actually make your life easier."
Yeah. No, that's to be fair, yeah, you've I can get that. To be fair, you need to kind of make them feel like they want something from you. It's not
For
exactly
sure.
like, yo, let me give you this. Let me sell you this real quick. Because then,
Yeah, for sure. And what
when
helps with what I'm doing? Sorry, go on.
I do get some salespeople like that, I do the same sometimes. I do turn it off, but every once in a while, you do get someone who's an artist, who's legit an artist at it, and you
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to
yeah.
listen. So
Yeah, for sure.
it's a really good skill to learn, and lot of the very successful people say it's a skill that you do need to learn.
Definitely, definitely. Like I said, it's about communication, and if especially if you want to influence others and for the better, hopefully, then you need to learn how to communicate, because you could have the best ideas in the world, but if you're unable to communicate these ideas to someone and they don't get what you're trying to say, because if you think about it, language is very limited. We might feel something, but sometimes we can't even get the words out, and because
Yeah,
we have different languages. Spanish people will say a word differently than a French person, an English person, and an Arab person, and it's so different in different countries that it's very limited. And a lot of times we can get lost in translation. So when you actually learn how to communicate something and make sure that the other person understands what you're trying to say, not you trying to get something out for yourself, then that's when the best communication can happen.
exactly. That's really good. One thing you also talk about quite a lot in your page is, you need to be consistently learning, and we've already talked about books quite a bit here, but how
Yeah.
important would you say reading is to your life and to become the best version of yourself?
Definitely. So I've been reading quite a bit lately these past few years. This is something that I used to hate as a kid. So I never read pretty much. I'd read a few books every now and then, and
If you
usually
read,
it was
you're a
when it was
nerd.
a exactly. There's that whole thing that makes you want to read even less, and
Yep.
especially when you're growing up, you've got video games, you got films, you've got shows, you've got all these things that are um, let's say more entertaining and more fast release in as far as dopamine as well, instant gratification. A book takes more time, it's more challenging as well. But when I was younger, I didn't used to read, but people used to tell me, well, it depends. You haven't found the book that you like. And even now, so now that I started reading, the books that I like, that I'm able to finish, are the books that I can apply to my actual life. So let's say self-help books, books that just make you better.
No, yeah,
Those are the
exactly.
books that I love pretty much.
And to be fair, reading books does kind of relate back to what we were talking about previously, is you need discipline. At least for us, we're kind of in the generation of where we have constant dopamine all the time.
Yeah,
If I just go on
definitely.
my phone in the morning, see some TikToks, easy, all reward, no risk at all. Books, you kind of need to put a little bit more mental effort into it. So it is
Definitely.
literally training the mind. It is literally training the mind.
Yeah,
So
100%. And self-help books, for example, as well, things that you can apply. I think when you read them for longer as well, it's easier to how to say how to stick with. It's something that you won't forget easily, because if you watch a video for 10 minutes about discipline, let's say, or whatever aspect it might be, or whatever subject, then you might forget it quickly because you only watched it for 10 minutes. But if it's a book that you've been reading for a few weeks or a few months, you've been exposed to that for a longer period of time. So you have more of a chance that it will stick with you for longer as well.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. And also, you're literally learning a lifetime of experience from people who have gone through similar
Definitely.
things, who have defeated these challenges, who have done something for themselves. So you only have things to gain really by reading
100%.
books. You
Definitely.
can learn something from literally anyone, and that's kind of why I'm starting this podcast at the minute to try and learn
Yeah,
from everyone, try and learn something. And
100%. I mean, yeah, like, I think podcasts are like a great idea. Like this is something that I'd like to do maybe in sometime in the future. But what you're doing, I think, is really great because as your podcast grows, then you're going to get better and better guests on, let's say, and just exposure to just very interesting people. So you're going to learn a lot from other people.
that's true. I don't know if I can get better than you though, straight away, Ryan.
I mean, you started very high.
Started very
No,
high already.
honestly, no, but I think it's great because as well as learning from these people, the viewers are gonna learn as well. You're gonna transmit that information. If you look at
Yeah,
Joe Rogan, for example, I learn a lot from his guests as well because he's given them exposure as well.
exactly. Yeah. But let's talk a little bit more about your page. What's your overall goal with your page? Would you say?
So, like I said, I've got a few ideas, but I think as I do it more and more, I'm gonna gain more ideas about the direction. But ultimately, I feel like I've progressed a lot with myself these past few years. Like I said, I felt quite lost in some ways. I didn't feel in control of what I could achieve, let's say, and that was because of a lack of discipline, relying solely on motivation.
Yeah.
And I think that for a long period of time, and I think maybe a lot of people can relate to this, is you almost wait for this motivation, this feeling to take control and to get you to start doing these things that you want to do. But what I learned as well is that, for example, through discipline, is that that feeling never comes, and essentially you have to go and find it. You have to be disciplined enough to set goals and actually achieve them. And even though these running challenges, I don't want to become a professional runner or anything like that. I mean,
Yeah.
only time will tell. But these things that I've done, let's say, I can apply them to other aspects of my life.
Yeah.
And I want to get that message out there. I feel like if I was able to progress myself, I feel like it'd be selfish to not share it with others. If that makes sense.
Exactly. No, and you're just being yourself. You're talking about what you've learnt through your challenges, and a lot of
Yeah,
people in life do need that, and they will be looking for that information, which you can give, and you give very good information. Especially for me, after lockdown, it was constant sitting at home, dopamine release all the
yeah,
time, doing
yeah,
absolutely nothing. It was hard to get motivation back, to be fair, and that's when discipline has to kick in,
hundred
as you said.
percent. And
Um,
it's supposed to have a goal or a why, because if you don't even know the reason why you're doing certain things, then you'll just stop doing them quickly because it's like, why do I want, for example, for the 5 a.m. runs? Okay, I had a goal, and ultimately I have a why as well for the reasons why I want to push myself, become better, and ultimately share that knowledge with others. But if for example I don't have that, then I'll wake up at 5 and I'm just going to tell myself, "Oh, I'm going to snooze that alarm and go back to sleep because why am I even doing this in the first place?"
yeah,
I think having a solid why and defining it for yourself is extremely important.
exactly. And you need to challenge yourself in life. Like we were talking about this at the start of the podcast, but it's important that it might not be running or the challenges, but it could be,
Yeah,
for example, for me, my challenge is martial arts,
yeah,
training jujitsu. So
yeah, yeah.
I challenge myself every day there because I know every day I'm gonna get my ass kicked at some point, and
That's
that's a
tough.
challenge. And you need to, you push through it, and you become a better person, more disciplined person, and it can be whatever you want. There's so many challenges out there. There's a big world. Find something that you enjoy. Find something that pushes you a little bit, and challenge yourself. And then you'll see you'll end up being a happier person, a better person, a more disciplined person, and a more fulfilled person, which is
100%.
basically the goal in everyone's life.
Definitely, definitely. And I feel like, when did you start doing jiu-jitsu as well? Was it at a young age or
I was 17.
17? Okay.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
just moved to England, and I was with the host family, and I
Yeah.
didn't have anything really to do.
Right.
So I just went into the gym, range martial arts. It was quite a very good gym, by a former
Okay.
UFC fighter. Uh,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, and walked in, and I was like, "Oh, can I try out this kickboxing?" They said, no.
Oh,
Well, they didn't say no. They said it's not on today, but they have jujitsu on.
okay, okay.
So I was
Right.
like, jujitsu. Okay, I'll try this. And yeah, I got messed up. I remember a 14-year-old kid completely beat me up,
It's
and
humbling. It's humbling, isn't it?
it's very humbling,
To be
very
fair.
good for your ego. They say
Yeah,
leave your ego at the door because in my experience, there's been a lot of people that they come in, they can't hack it, and then they never show their face again because
I think the ego is probably a bit fragile. I think you
that's
really need
it.
to leave that at the door, like you said.
That's the quote in jiu-jitsu, leave your ego at the door. I had one guy, he was quite a bit older to be fair, and not in the best shape, but he mid-roll, he's already been
Mm,
rolling before, so I'm not going to take all the credit. But mid-roll,
yeah,
he got up and said, I'm sorry, not for me, and left. And left the
mm,
gym. So,
yeah,
but it's fair enough. Anyway,
yeah.
Ryan,
Probably wasn't for him. Yes,
it's been a really good podcast. It's been really interesting. And
yes, definitely.
hopefully I'll have you on again. Hope and yeah, follow Limitless Belief, and you can see Ryan's
Thank you.
progression. You can learn a lot from him about what we talked about in the podcast. And
Definitely.
to end it, I know you would like to share a quote
Oh
with our
yes.
guests.
So yeah, this is a quote that I found just a few weeks ago, and honestly, it really resonated with me, and I feel like it might resonate with some certain people as well. So I'll just go ahead. I think it was Les Brown, so he's a motivational speaker. And what I like about this quote is it really makes you question your full potential, what you can achieve, and all the things that you're not acting on, pretty much. So
Yeah,
this way says, imagine you're on your deathbed, and standing around you are the ghosts representing your unfulfilled potential, the ghosts of the ideas you never acted on, the ghosts of the talents you didn't use. And they're standing around your bed, angry, disappointed, and upset. They tell you, we came to you because you could have brought us to life, they say, but now we have to go to the grave together. So I ask you today, how many ghosts are going to be around your bed when your time comes? And that was, wow,
that is
that
deep.
really,
Uh, to
yeah,
di-
it really is.
to dissect it, everyone, from what I get from it, everyone has dreams and goals, but not many people
100%.
put it out there. They might have a fear of putting themselves out there, which is normal. I have the
Definitely,
same thing with this podcast. I'm sure you did while creating the page.
definitely.
But to make it, you need to put yourself out there. You need to try things, and if you don't, then you'll just regret it.
That's it. Perfectly said.
Great. It was great. Great
Well, thanks for having me
podcast.
on.
Thanks for coming
Yes.
on, and I'll see you soon.
See you soon. Thank you.